Hello, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Real Raven Radio. Oh my goodness, episode 9. Preparing the popcorn. Today we have some very special guests. Could I hear their ding dong, please?
Ding dong.
Come on in, guys. Guess who's here, you guys? Cash and Kat. Yay. Say hi to the happy unicorn up there. Yay. Hi, everybody. Everyone. I posted a little unicorn with a look here so everybody would know where to. Hi, Commonsensical. How are you guys today? So today we're just getting ready for tomorrow and just talking about how we got here. And yeah. Favorite conspiracy theory from last year?
From last year?
Besides COVID. Besides...
That's my least favorite conspiracy.
No. Besides COVID is real. Besides that one. That's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. For me, I'm a longtime conspiracy theorist. Last year really opened my eyes to the implications of multiple clones and this channels of energy working through what looks like a person, but it's something much bigger than that vessel, and realizing how much that's a part of this warfare and strategy, and that kind of blew my mind. I never really had contemplated that at all. So
I think that's where most people don't go full clone on them right away, because they'll be like, yeah. What was yours, do you think? That's a good one, by the way.
Yeah, definitely. I think predictive programming, I watched Avengers, and it's all about that snap and, taking out half the population, and how some people will go ahead and think that's a good idea. But once the effects happen, everyone gets hurt by it, but you still have some people that have allowed that to work into their programming as a possible idea. And so just the way they're using predictive programming. Yeah, it's a pretty heavy one.
Yeah, that's a big one. That is a big one. I think for me, the big thing is figuring out that Star Wars was real. I was like, fuck, man. I saw that in 1977 and when it came out in a white station wagon at the drive-in theater. And I didn't quite get it then. And so for my whole life, I've been struggling with it. And all of a sudden it made sense. And I was kind of, now we know. Wow. I think that was kind of the biggest thing. My kids all love Star Wars. So I keep trying to ask them, yesterday's question was,
what would Luke Skywalker do?
Yeah, no, I said, what do you think? Okay, lightsabers, do you think they're made of plasma technology? And my son went into some explanation of what he thought lightsabers were, and it was kind of what a plasma thing would be. So it was interesting, but yeah, I found that on Ancient Aliens. I'm like, dude, I don't know why you're not watching Ancient Aliens, because I swear they talk about lightsabers and Death Stars and shit like that. It's totally fascinating. So yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. My biggest surprise is that I actually enjoy sci-fi this year. That's my biggest surprise. Nerd alert. So yeah, I think it's been pretty funny. So
I've always admired nerds, though. They can really just exalt their own world without drugs.
Yeah, without drugs. We had actually a really good conversation. We were kind of going to share with you a little overflow of we don't have to get into our personal experiences with it, although funny for some of us. We don't need to rehash that. But yeah, we were just talking about how we individually have connected or found connection to source with or without the aid of any implementations of the plant-based variety or of the pharmaceutical variety, if you will. I'd mentioned that I hadn't really done anything other than mushrooms and hash until I was about 45, and then went to Europe and had to experience some of that before I went, because I didn't want it slipped into my drink. But in the last probably 5 years, I might have had 20 encounters, or if that, of where, you know, I've done something like ecstasy or acid or something manufactured, but I didn't think it made me personally experiencing anything different than I did on mushrooms. So that's the interesting part.
Yeah.
Salvia, though, was the one that I had more, but you can talk about all of those.
Yeah, salvia is a crazy drug for sure. Yeah, I definitely was a lot more. I'm in a funny like middle ground because I didn't do any drugs till I went to university, and then I did a lot of drugs, and then I went to a meditation center for 2 years where I did no drugs, and it was a really unique experience coming out of that, having experienced some truly deep things without any drugs at all, having gone past any of those previous experiences to find like a bedrock of peace that like lived behind everything. And then to know that the experiences that I had with mushrooms were still some of the most profound experiences that I'd had in my life. And so, knowing that there was a huge difference between an engaged experience with life versus a altered experience with life. And so like some of those more beautiful mushroom experiences, they weren't about changing the way the world was. It was about changing the way I received the world, versus like having ecstasy, you know, and really just raw, like, you know,
wanting to hump a tree, you know, dance with everything.
Make love to a tree, but whatever. It's a slight difference, but you know.
There's a tiny one.
So yeah, I don't know. I wrote this a little while back. I can't remember exactly how I said it, but essentially, if you are not doing any drugs, you're missing out on a key step in life. You know, if you're not experiencing plant medicine at all, like true organic plant medicine done in a ceremonial way, you're truly missing out on something. But on the other hand, if you're doing plant medicine, or call it, it's more likely drugs in this scenario, where you're not doing some sort of great integration after the experience, then you're missing the whole thing. Like, you're just wasting your time, and you're probably annoying at least some spiritual figure out there.
Yeah, that's funny. Well put, for sure. How about for you?
You guys just covered so many topics. What was the original question?
Yeah, what
I'm so
happened?
sorry.
I don't know. What do you want to share about your journey getting here? It's been such a weird ride. What thread do you want to pull is one of the questions.
It's like I could answer that in like 500 ways, but which way shall I choose today?
Yeah, exactly.
I would say, for some reason, I'm going back to my childhood. I don't know why, because I don't really think about the long past very much. And I'm not one of those people that has like really vivid memories of the past. I know some people amaze me, and for me, like, I just remember like feelings and lessons and like certain visual shots, you know, but I don't. Yeah, I don't know. And I think it's partly like where my mind resides most of the time. Like, if you're not, you know, a super like material person in a way, like you're kind of drifting away from that realm. And I've always been kind of like that. And I don't know. So I'm remembering my childhood, and I feel that I was one of those people that was kind of born awake. Like, it's not that I was saying everything myself, but when I heard something, I could feel whether it was true or not. And so I was always a deeper thinker than most people. Like, not everybody, but most people. So I
got called a daydreamer, right?
Yeah, I was always off on my own plane. I'm just remembering though, like for a period I lived out in the country. I lived by the Elbow River, you know, near the Rocky Mountains. Nice. And so like my companionship was nature, and it's some of the most peaceful memories I have of my life was being a child, you know, just like sitting by the river and or crossing the river or watching sunsets, or, you know, being freezing and skating, or like so that was always more real to me than most things I've done in my life. So
Yeah, I agree. That connection.
so that piece was there from early on, and
I think it's been easier on some than others the last year on
for sure.
Yeah, on how we've processed, either you've come from a place of quiet and have been able to ride it through in a very nice, calm inner space, or you came from a place of complete victimization in the beginning part of your life and had to fight for everything that you have, and you went through that like fight or flight, and now you're in like, well, I don't need to do either. I just need to be and accept. There's a whole bunch of transitions that I've seen happen with a number of people, but those are the two main ones in the healer community. Is the healers that I found have ridden the waves pretty steadily, have been grounded and have grounded themselves right from the beginning. And then there's some that are just like,
what I
struggling.
feel is like I have had a really clear thought on exactly why that is. And I really feel like as human beings, we all have to go through the dark night of the soul. And sometimes you have to go through a lot of them. A lot of people have been delaying their dark night of the soul for a long time, and they can't anymore. So it's like, here you go, have it all at once. Like a giant red pill. Try to swallow it all down without choking.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. They've been spiritually bypassing themselves.
Spiritually bypassing or emotionally bypassing. There's a lot of different ways. This is something that's come up for me a lot. Is that acknowledging that there's spiritual bypassing, there's like physical bypassing, emotional bypassing. There's all of these systems that are there to wake us up. And any of them that we put to sleep, it's going to blow up someday, like we have tons of people that are not in touch with their own bodies, so how can you speak to intuition when you don't know how your gut communicates, how your heart communicates, not even truly understanding that, your conscious mind is, I don't even know the math, but to be generous would say 20% of your brain's power is the conscious mind, like the bedrock, the unconscious mind is so much more powerful. So it's really quite alarming, and then to speak to men, like so many of us were raised with this idea that literally how much money you had in your pockets or in your bank account was the whole entirety of your manhood. And so now you're not working, you're spending all your money, and your manhood just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and that's your whole existence, so that's good. So to have not gone through what it means to die, to be nothing, to have gone through that dark night of the soul, and now literally having your existential crisis, is a huge thing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it too, is that the measure of success on even a parent or whatever has been about, are your kids in hockey or are they doing blah blah blah, and
are they in 5 activities 5 minutes a week?
And I remember going when I was in Greece last year. My friend Ava, she was like, what do Canadians do there? What's a typical week? And I said, with children or without children? Because there's a big difference. I said, if you have children, your life works around school hours, daycare hours, your work, grocery shopping, and first and foremost, the extracurricular activities that your children are enlisted in. And it's usually hockey or something that takes that much time in the family. So everything is a schedule, everything is routine, everything is a time clock. If you're late, there's stress, there's money, there's a calendar. September is one of the most horrible times for parents because it's back to school clothes, back to school equipment, back to school fees, back to school. I said, it's like you're chasing something every month somewhere, and you're constantly, as a parent, normally conditioned to live paycheck to paycheck. Okay, when you don't have those kids, your life is much different. It's much different, and you can because we don't have those things. We've been put in the boxes. Okay, well, you live in this house and you live in that house and you work here. And I remember even struggling, excuse me for saying this, family members, my older family members, who would question me on if this is all I wanted to be in my life, you know, or, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I've literally told my children, whatever you want to do, I don't care if you want to collect garbage. I don't care what you want to do. Just be happy doing it and don't be an asshole. Like, literally, don't be an asshole. So just do whatever you want. Just be happy. I go, I don't even care if you go to university. You know why? Because you're just paying money to figure out who you are. And most people fucking quit in the first year because they're not doing what they truly love to do.
Yeah.
So you figure out who you want to be and then invest in yourself that way, you know? And had I not said that to my kids, people are like, oh, none of your kids have graduated high school. And I'm like, good. Do you know how unprogrammed they are then? Like now I'm like, good. See, I was thinking. Like, but you guys are doing it because you're doing it the unschool too, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about that, because that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, unschooling has been an amazing experience. We I don't know, some of you might have heard, we worked with Hemp for a while, and like it was just a rough year.
Oh yes, I want to point this out.
Yeah.
Look what Kat brought me. I haven't opened it because it's
coffee.
hemp coffee, and I want to try it. It's supposed to make you more clear, right?
Yeah.
In the head.
Yeah.
I read about it. This one's actually made here, right?
Yeah. The coffee's from Revelstoke Coffee on Revelstoke, and then the hemp is grown in Alberta, toasted locally, and then ground and bound together. So yeah, it's light, it's nutty, it's a really good experience.
Half the caffeine.
Yeah.
Even better. That's exactly what I need. That's exactly what I need. So that's what I wanted to hear, actually, because I love coffee so much.
Yeah.
And half the caffeine is good because
Yeah.
now I get to have 2 cups instead of, and I've had this for a week and I've been wanting to crack it open, and I'm like, I'm not going to open this until they're on the show again. So and the unschooling was
so we just it was a slow year in the field, so we had a bit more time to kind of step back and find a different way to help the community, and because we work with herbs and we set our own schedules, we could support the school 2 days a week, and so that's been a really amazing experience, because there's 21 kids, 16 families involved.
nice.
And it's a student-directed experience where the students decide what they want to do, and then we support them, and we kind of show them different things as it kind of comes along. And I spent a bit of time at the beginning of the year kind of showing them what security and safety we needed to deal with. But now I get to spend 6 hours a day playing like a kid and trying things out. We had a popsicle bridge building competition.
Nice.
Yeah, I won. Also, musical chairs, I also won, because I've got a lot of experience, but no ego. I'm just better.
He's not the one that type the let the kids win to inflate their ego.
No, definitely not.
I'm the only one who gets a ribbon here.
Yeah, seriously, we're not all. Just having the most fun. But there's two daughters that are there, and I had this wood carving kit, and so they just loved wood carving. They're like an hour a day they were doing wood carving, and it was through that experience that it really dawned on me that these apprentice style, trade style experiences are not happening in the same way. People are getting force fed all of this information that, regardless of whether they're going to use it or not, they're definitely getting taught it when it doesn't matter, for one. And a lot of them aren't going to use it. And then, I've got these 2 sisters that are loving wood carving. And if they were to go and spend all of that time that they would be spending at school towards wood carving, they could be master wood carvers by the time they graduated high school. So it's a whole different experience you know, and that's been taken away because like even taking out the fact that, because we're not trying to commodify this, we're trying to give them the opportunity to decommodify their lives, to like turn themselves from a product back into a person, you know? And so having them be able to share in the gaining of these skills in a non-commercial way is really amazing.
And taking it off of a resume and putting it back into the hands of humanity, you know, I guess is the best way to put it. Like we don't want it on a resume anymore. We don't care what the box stores think if we know how to sew a shirt or, you know, all of that has been lost. And that's one of the things that I've always tried to teach my boys, how to sew a button and how to cook and do laundry. And, you know, I don't care if you don't want to wheelbarrow, you're going to wheelbarrow these 13 yards of gravel I just got because I don't want to pay anybody to do it, you know. And it's just turning it back to more work. You know, and work is fun for a lot of kids. One of the funnest things I've ever done when I was a kid is similar to that is my grandparents, one liked to do the cooking and the canning and the baking and all of that. And the other one had the wood shop. So we rotated, you know, I was in their wood shop just as much as, you know, my brother or whatever. I learned how to do a lot of stuff. And, yeah, I can build a house if I really wanted to. If I really wanted to, I think I could build a house, you know. But how many people could say that because they don't have the skills, and they've been taken away from the ability to think for ourselves has been taken away. So, like, what do you think? Well, I don't know. What the hell do you think? It's more of my question. I gotta watch my language because I'm gonna go to Hogwarts not this week but next week. We're gonna do paper mache.
This whole thing with like going back to the whole one world agenda thing and realizing like that we've been being trained and conditioned to become suitable citizens in a communist regime. Essentially,
we're happy slaves
and to be easy slaves, happy slaves. Like, easy to manage, easy to deal with, and like. Education's a huge part of it. I don't think anyone learns hardly anything useful in regular school.
No, and that's what I was just saying to Melinda about Sophia. I'm like, she's 13. And I'm like, do you really care if she's learning algebra? Do you? Like, if she's a writer, a naturally gifted writer, and she naturally wants to learn languages on her own, do you really care if she knows how to do figure out the square area of a fucking circle? No, that's who cares?
Here's the one question I've had though too is like, although I totally agree with that and feel the same way, there are times where we need to be pushed a little bit to go out of our comfort zone. I agree. And where, you know, and exercise both sides.
And exercise is a big key. Exercise.
Yeah.
Kids need more exercise.
Yeah, that's huge.
They just need more exercise, period. By the way, before I forget, I gave the tablecloths to Ryan yesterday for they're making forts at the school.
Yeah, we are.
So, yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yes, I will be making the best fort.
Yes. Is there a ribbon for that?
Everybody gets participation ribbons.
Yeah. What are you guys doing to get ready for tomorrow? I hope everybody's getting their popcorn on. So I'm going to have a day of hell, I know, on the 20th, just because I'm going to eat popcorn tomorrow and I can't. I love popcorn. But it's going to be awesome, I think, tomorrow. What are you guys expecting in the next 3 weeks? What would be if you had to work for LaToya Jackson's Psychic Network for this week, what would be your number one prediction on the 1-900 number? And don't say I got fired and I didn't see it coming, because that's a bad joke.
That's a great joke. Great joke. Well, I guess I'll say depends.
Yeah.
I'll say depends. I feel like a lot of people are going to themselves. So a lot of people should invest in Depends right now.
Yeah. That's what the toilet paper shortage was for.
Like,
shit, you reminded me.
You know?
Invest in Depend stocks.
Just, Depend stocks are going to go right through the roof next.
Yeah, or Depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard they were the better brand, apparently, for those long haul journeys.
Yeah.
What do I predict is going to happen? I think that confusion is going to take like an exponential leap forward on the 20th when a bunch of shit happens and mainstream says this and what really happened was that, and people continue to fight more and more until finally more and more people get worn down by trying to defend complete lies that they're going to keep dropping like flies until the people left standing are the ones that know what's fucking going on.
That's a good way.
Everyone else is going to fade away with just freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're going to have a breakdown and something. I don't know. Like, that's what I hope, because the last thing I want to see happen is to us to go through this incredible transition, et cetera, but then like half the population still be like, I want to watch NFL.
I don't even think that's funny. I don't even know if that will be a thing, because like you gotta wonder if those vibrations of that heavy duty competition where you're better than someone else is going to survive in the collective consciousness. That's what I keep wondering, because anything that doesn't suit with me, where it's like, is that kind, or is that nice, or is that in the best interest of everyone? If it doesn't sit in that, I kind of like, it gives me the creeps, and I'm wondering if that's going to be something that happened. We just look at it and go, what were we thinking?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, hopefully, if the NHL or the NFL or any of these things keep going,
The L's.
the L's keep going, then at least they have no fans, because everyone who likes football is playing football, and everyone who likes hockey is playing hockey.
Yeah, because they can all afford it.
They can all afford it. They, they stop giving up their power and their health to jobs that ruin themselves. And they start saying, actually, you know what? I don't want to give all my willpower and strength and health to this job so that I end up at home drunk and angry at my spouse.
Mm-hmm.
They say, I want to do something that fills my soul with joy, and then when I'm at home, I'm going to keep myself physically fit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would be nice.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope that helps. Yeah.
There's at least some, we've got a men's club, a men's organization here that does circles, and we're like, yeah, let's be prepared. We're not going to freak out or anything, but we're like, we're going hunting, we're going wildcraft, and we're going bushcraft, and, we're going to do all these things, we're doing these things because it's not a matter of like, no, the world's going to freak out. It's like, I want to be comfortable if the world freaks out, and if the world's not freaking out, I want to go have a good time outside.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give that to NFL.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm enjoying the movie, and I know the movie's going to get ugly, where you're going to want to close your eyes for a while, put your hands over your face, and not want to deal with it. But that's really what I think this journey's been all about. That's what life is all about now, right now, in these next few weeks. Like, I've never felt it more strongly in who I am as a person, in my DNA, to do self-preservation, self-healing, like take time outside with nature, hunker down. I don't necessarily even care about the information in a way that, how can I put it? I don't hold any attachment to the information that's being given to me. What do I think? What happened? We don't know until it actually happens. And until it happens, I'm just kind of like, I'm happy with everything on how we got to this place, because it's been almost a full year where most people have been woken up. We can obviously say in Canada, we knew something happened before even May lockdown, where it ignited a big group of people on some other bigger level. I know for me, the year before was when the police games and all that crap were going on in Wuhan. I was like, something stinks here. It's not going to be good. And So there's stuff like a lot of people are seeing, and some people who've been in this movement, the 17th letter movement, very much longer than other people. I couldn't even imagine being one of those people. And for me, my inner standing has been, we have been kept from certain things for a reason until we're able to deal with them. And then we have benevolent beings helping us along, obviously, by giving us these downloads of information and saying, we're actually going to be okay. Come with me, So part of this inner standing is just knowing that it's actually been confirmed for me that we are going to be okay, instead of thinking this world's going to hell in a handbasket. Like, we're all going to die. Get me off of this planet. Now I just think, this is I'm so chill with the way things are going. And I'm just, I don't know. It's that, what you're saying, that connection to the stomach and your heart vibration. Yeah. So if I don't connect to the rest, who cares? Sometimes it's just really out of working with your heart space and that spidey sense, right?
Totally.
So, and I don't like using it, but everybody knows what I mean when I say that. Shameful. Anyways, any questions for our kids today? Everybody, they have a lot of things to sort out. Everyone has a lot to sort out. Yes. Yes. So lots of things going on. I think there's going to be a big shift in just who we are as people and how we actually get information too. I'm guessing I'm hoping that this is what I'm really hoping with. Hear me out, guys. You've seen The Matrix, right? Mm-hmm. When he goes and lays in the bed and he just does kung fu in his mind, and then he wakes up and he can just kick somebody's ass. That's going to be me.
See, but this is the thing. Like, I'm serious. Like, I'm going to go ahead and say that's right there. Like, I remember I had a yoga mat. I don't know if this was legal then, but I smoked a bit of cannabis.
For shame.
And I was doing some yoga, and it was like I'd taken away every lock, every inhibition, everything, and I had full, complete, integrated control of my body. And when I think back to even when I was dancing, like levels of inhibition that came through when I had a couple of drinks, and like that, the way that I could interact with my body. So as we continue to get more and more healthy, and we take away these inhibitions and really break that spell, that really says we are just solely our meat suit. We're solely controlled by these physical laws, and get more into the frequency, into the vibration, into the freedom, we'll continue to be able to literally receive these intense downloads, which are, for the most part, just unlocking some sacred knowledge that has existed inside of us this whole time. Yeah,
it's all in our DNA. I think that's why. Well, I looked up, I think his name was Baptiste. What's his name? Lamarck Baptiste, who believed, he fought with Charles Darwin about cellular DNA having a memory, and remembering our journeys from our parents and their journeys and so on and so forth. So in all fairness, he would have said that I had spent time in concentration camp because my grandfather had spent time. So you think about, if we actually operate at that level way back, I think that was in the 1700s, he was trying to figure this stuff out, then if they had that knowledge back then, and you think about what's happened since 1947 to now in our technology, we are so dumb. We are so dumb. We're so dumb, right? Yeah. So that's why I think there's so much we're going to just all of a sudden just be like, okay, our DNA is all cleaned up now, and we're just...
It's interesting, this whole notion of time not really existing.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it's like we've been held back in the past, and all these things are going to catapult forward, and it's going to seem so fast, but really it's because we've been held up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense that we could evolve certain things so much, and then other things are completely stagnated. Yeah. Like the whole energy of what the world runs off of.
Yeah. Yeah, oil and gas. So what's going to happen when there's no gas? Do you know how many times people have asked me that in the last year? That is like riding a dinosaur compared to where we're going.
And honestly, one of my funniest moments.
You're welcome.
Well done. Well done.
One of my funniest moments of this year that was big, and we'll call it the Muggle news.
Yeah, the Muggle news. That's great.
The Muggle news was when barrels of Alberta oil were -$3 at one point, and it was like what our city's built on this oil money, and it was so much ego around oil and most millionaires per capita in Canada and all this stuff. But to live in an age like not even that long ago, like that's how it was, and now we're the year 2020, and suddenly you have to pay to store oil.
Yeah,
it's not valuable to us anymore.
And I was so glad when that happened. That showed me the collapse of the oil dollar. Like people are like, oh my God, Alberta's gonna go, ah. And I'm like, yahoo! Like I was probably the only one going, yahoo, it's about time. The oil dollar's collapsed since 1974 or some shit like that. We've been held hostage by this inflated bullshit in our country. And in everybody's country, and it's caused so much war and so much bullshit. We're just so tired of it, tired of it. And I was tired of it 4 years ago, going on these water marches and, banging drums way back then when the Muggle news would come out and say there's 30 people on the Peace Bridge today for the water march, and there'd be like 500. They would be way back then taking like the 4 people, standing there with their coffee cups on the hill or something, and then just the corner of the bridge, so you wouldn't see anybody in the bridge. Don't give me that shit. And then they go around interviewing white folks looking for the white opinion. That really pissed me off. So I got an interview one time, and they're like, oh, so I give them my opinion on the water rights have been given up. And every time they push through one of these bills, they march all over Indigenous rights and water raise and land use and all of this stuff. And I went into the specifics of why I'm pissed off over them giving away water. Oh, can I get your name? Raven. I swear to God, she didn't even write it down. She just walked away. Like, you can't put Raven in a newspaper, apparently, for an opinion like that. I was so like some sort of gaslighting. It's fine.
What's that one magazine where it was like UFO crash found in New York City? Aliens escaped to the underground. What was that?
The Enquirer, National Enquirer. Yeah.
That's where Raven belongs in their world.
Oh yeah, exactly. Speaking of National Enquirer, today on did you catch the magazine that's laying down in the foyer by the dead Christmas tree? Somebody got pissed off that they didn't take down the Christmas tree, so they karate kicked it. So it's like in half in the corner, real classy. But there's a Hello Daily magazine with the Queen on it, and how it's honest. And I was like, what the fuck date is this? It's January 2021. Somebody in my apartment building actually spent money and bought that magazine. The royal tablet.
Royal tabloids are.
Hey, we should grab it for paper mache.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, even the royal tabloids this year were kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Juicy, this whole thing with, I don't know, they talk about Kate and Harry, or is it Kate?
Meghan
and Harry, sorry.
Yeah.
Meghan and Harry, and then when they moved to Canada, that they lived with the guy who was like connected to the Picton farm.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Frank Justra. Yeah, they actually said some truth in there. So that's why I was wondering a while back, like, where the Alliance is in control of some of this shit, because there's no way, like,
too bizarre.
Even on Netflix, I'm like, okay, they took down every movie that was kind of negative, but kept all of the ones that tell a story about what's happening right now, like Conspiracy and all, like the OA and Travelers and all of these things, even Soul on Disney. I'm like, I watched that movie 4 times to see if there was any pedo shit in it. I could not find any, and it's probably the best explanation for a kid to understand that they have a soul, they are a person, and they go to life.
What was the name of that one?
Soul. Just as, yeah, it was. I thought it was really good. Some people were like, it's still Disney, and I'm like, Disney's owned by the U.S. government. For the most part, most of the stocks are owned by 62% or some shit like that. Like, yeah, they've owned a large part of it. So the corporation business owned stocks in quite a few different organizations like AOL, and I had a big list of them anyways. So I was thinking, well, if POTUS took over that in 2017, then what else as the commander, where you can take over corporations and run them for your own use because you're in a state of war. Well, we've always been in a state of war from the States. So,
well,
I don't know, maybe.
And probably not a coincidence. One of the big CEO step downs was of Disney, and it came before his time. He was supposed to be in there for at least 5 years. I think he was only in there for 3. So
So I'm wondering what, I can't wait to see the stuff that we get to find out about since we've been awake, what happened on what day. Dang, that's what happened on whatever. Or that's what I suspected. Like, I do want to find out at what times the tunnels were cleared at what levels in our city because of the emotions and stuff that a number of healers and stuff have gone through and have recognized it. I
really can I share this one with you guys really quickly?
Yes.
It's okay. So the day, I think it was April the 4th or 5th, there was a worldwide meditation, and then there was this whole there was of course
it was
just
April
like
4th, yeah.
Okay, so just like everything else, there was a backlash against it. Like, you're gonna tap into some dark beings if you participate in this worldwide event. Don't do it. So it was like. It's just everything was being infiltrated. But I thought about it, and then I was like, fuck that. Like, they can't just take away all your meditation, spiritual energy that you cultivate. And I organized a little meditation, sort of impromptu, at our place, and there was maybe 5 or 10 of us, and it was so nice because I have not meditated in a group like that in a long time. And I just felt this incredible peace, this incredible, amazing, connectedness to the whole world and a higher power and everything. But the weirdest thing is that night I had the darkest dreams, and I dreamt about those tunnels. I could see what was inside of them. And I don't know what relationship those two events had, but kind of.
Can I tap into that just for a second? Because around then, I didn't know you then.
No.
And around that time, personally, I experienced something very similar. I did that global meditation. And I'd been having dreams about the tunnels for a couple of years before that. And from around that particular portal opening till about April 20th, April 21st, there was such a shift in our city of energy. And it is my belief, this is what I really want to find out, is if there was actually clearing going on around the 17th, 18th, and 19th in the city, because I physically saw things with my own eyes, and many people did from all different directions, where there was on the level looked like SWAT, and then at different parts they were down in the south by some certain areas where there wasn't a lot of traffic normally.
At the end of Forest Lawn.
Yeah.
The end of 17th
Ogden
Southeast.
area and all of that stuff going on. So
Langdon had his power out.
Yeah.
In East Calgary.
Yeah. So there was a big shift, and I had a friend pass away on April 19th, and we weren't allowed to visit because of all the bullshit. And it was weird because I kind of was seeing a build up to this stuff, and I couldn't really express it other than just I kept doing more research. I'm just going to figure out what's going on. So I went down rabbit holes and seeing all of these things pop up as soon as I think it was around April probably 5th or 6th is when I saw my very first picture of a kid that had been pulled out of the tunnel. I refused to look at them before. I didn't want to listen to anything I'd been awake a little bit before that. I didn't want to go but as soon as I did, it was like, it switched a warrior thing on for me. It went from, I don't want to see that anymore to, I'm going to fucking kick every one of you motherfuckers ass and find every one of you and hunt every one of you down. And I just became more ignited, but with a sense of peace. That it was getting better. And then about midway through summer, I think we were at the rally and I said, we won, you guys, we won. We're so ahead of people. And people were like, I don't know what you're talking about, Raven, but I could already feel like what we're experiencing now on a better level, that shift.
I know.
And people were giving me a hard time.
Everyone was giving Raven a hard time for it. Just like, this is so realistic. No one knows what Tucson is.
Yeah.
Just like, and I'm like, dang, that's totally where I'm at. So I don't know if I should go back down there where I'm still gonna like bitch about the government all day long, because like, that's like pretty boring.
So it just seemed like it felt like a sieve last year of, it went like this, people got pulled, and you could see the people getting pulled in either direction, and that's still happening to some degree. But I think I don't know, it's just going to be so incredible in the next couple of weeks. I've got you guys got your popcorn plan for the school tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm sure we can bring some popcorn. Kids love popcorn. Nutritional yeast, chili powder, lime's good for sure.
I haven't tried the nutritional yeast on it.
Yeah, like it's only good if you like really great things. Yeah, if you like great things.
Apparently, I'm not cool.
Right, I just, when you've gone through that vegan thing for a while, you need to be really tasty.
Yes, exactly.
So you can't be kind of good if you're vegan.
Yeah, that's true.
Not that I'm always vegan. I enjoy a good ethically hunted meat.
Yeah.
For sure. It's a strange time, like with these distinctions, because I just had a huge conversation where I had to out myself as being anti-transhuman, I had to be like, you know what?
You're a racist.
You're such a racist. Jesus.
I had to do it.
Who invited this guy on the show?
I'm biased,
I don't know if I can talk to you anymore. These anti-transhuman people,
the worst. Seriously.
Domo arigato, Mr. Robot.
You know what that reminds me of? I saw yesterday a hashtag instead of light worker, gaslight worker.
I need some serious mansplaining gaslight worker memes going on. Memes are the answer, I swear.
Absolutely.
We are that's how we get prepared, is make more memes. The best meme I've seen all week was the Donald Trump one where he's like, I'm new to Twitter, I'm Mrs. Doubtfires. I just love that.
Doubtfires.
Boatfires, Mrs. Boatfires.
I'm so behind on my memes this week.
Yeah.
There's some other good ones.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to be careful on whose page I'm going to look at memes because they're not in my same timeline. So I'll go look at it and they're not sure of what's going to happen in the States, whether Trump's winning or not. So I have to get off a couple of pages because they're thinking that there's going to be some big, I don't know what. And I don't feed into any of that silliness. I'm just sitting here wondering, how good the shows. I did see a picture of Pelosi and all of her guards that were in the background of the Asian variety. They all look Chinese. Guess where she is anyways. Starts with a C and ends with Aina. Aina.
You make it sound so goofy.
I know. I do love Chinese people, just not the dark energy kind. So,
I'm big on the Communist Party.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I gotta get a drink of water. Talk amongst yourselves.
Sounds good. So, something that we never get to talk about here is psychedelics. So why are psychedelics so important?
Yes, why?
Sorry. Also, earlier I lied. We talked about psychedelics a little bit.
Yeah.
Microdosing. It's not necessarily the most important thing you can do, but in a world where trauma is everywhere and the skills to deal with that trauma are fairly limited in their education, we'll say. It's like the Stamets stack specifically with psilocybin, niacin, and lion's mane is one of the most important things that anyone can be doing for themselves. It's a incredible alchemy where your brain is being flooded with blood, with these basically all of the elements that are going to allow you to face your fear without instantly reacting to it, allowing you to rewrite your code in the way that you deal with fear. And it's repairing brain damage. It allows you to build myelin sheaths more quickly. So you literally are reprogramming your brain in a beautiful way, in a very calm, gentle way. You're taking these psychedelics at such a low dose that you're barely feeling them except for a mood elevation. And because I've gotten to experience meditation, I've been able to understand very well the difference between reaction and response, and that difference between feeling something and then like instantly reacting to it, and feeling something and asking that question, like, what does that mean and how do I want to respond? And so it's absolutely incredible to have this skill. And part of the reason why I even got more into psychedelics after I'd gone through meditation, it was less for myself, because I did have that ability to sit down for an hour and experience myself and see my triggers and work through them. But when I think about my mother, who, you know, she's in that 50 plus, you know, year old woman stage. And when I think about the life she had to live with all those people that were not awake and were abusive and the programming, I'm like, fuck.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, like the idea of her, like, being able to sit down and stop and open that Pandora's box of all of those traumas, you know, by herself without any sort of assistance it's near suicidal, you know.
Yeah.
So having something like these psychedelics, the microdose is such an important thing, you know. When we talk about addictions, you know, how many people are addicted to so many things, they don't even know how to feel joy without a drink or whatever else they're using. So the microdose gives them a little pop of that good feeling while allowing them to meet all of those different stimulus, you know, their annoying neighbor, their boring life, you know, whatever it is. Because, you know, one of the most beautiful things in the world is the ability to experience boredom and then out of that nothingness create art, you know. So giving people back those abilities with like something that's so uninvasive, like something that literally people can grow for themselves and then make for themselves, like on top of CBD. You know, there's so many these little things that are so cheap, that are so accessible, and that are so like sacred. They're spiritual, they're magic. So yeah, definitely something I think everyone should research.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to add?
Well, that's a pretty complete description, but one thing I would like to add, and it goes for macrodosing, but also how that relates to microdosing. And with the macrodosing, one of the most like probably profound experiences in it that I had repeatedly with different substances, different plant medicines, what it helped do was to strip down everything that wasn't really true and that wasn't really going to hold up under scrutiny of the spirit of a higher energy. And so it just helps to strip down the ego stories that we tell ourselves that usually aren't true. And so they just keep you living in some sort of illusion. Whether it be positive or negative. But so I've had to take very stark looks at myself, as I'm sure you all have too, to, you know, be honest about what's real and what isn't, and it's really hard to access that state otherwise sometimes, you know.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people are coming to, is just like, where is that sticking in our reality and of our inner knowing of things on a different plane that we've come to, I guess. Yeah, that's kind of a good way of putting it.
And the other thing too, I want to add with, as we transition to plant medicines, because people will continually rediscover that they're safer and they work better than everything else that's typically given to people. That I feel that plant medicines are very honest in some way, and that's something I hope is always preserved about them. People that try to like cheat them through business and like try to become the billionaire off of marijuana or something often happens to those people. They don't succeed. So I just think it's a sacred relationship and nobody owns it, and it doesn't belong to any one culture. It's a gift from nature, from God, and that in order to have any sort of success in it, you have to have that relationship very, very clean.
Holistically,
Holistic, sacred, respecting the intelligence that exists outside of us, outside of humanity. This is a huge thing. And something in there reminded me, because it is a big thing with macro and microdosing, is to like, and this is going to sound a bit witchy, please forgive me, but invite the plant into your life, invite the medicine, ask for what you need, and be honest and humble, because we're not talking about drugs anymore. Drugs were an escape, they were a way of getting away from what we're experiencing. As we're plant medicine, and this, like, Phoenix tears is a big one too. But with mushrooms specifically, like, there's a lot of clearing to do. There's a lot of revealing, like Kat said. So you got to ask for that. And I like to remind myself to ask to be happy as well.
Yes.
Because it's important to feel all the experiences, but to definitely remember you're still trying to transmute and remember the love at the end and that true experience. Yeah,
being present. I love you guys so much. You guys are amazing. Thank you. So we're gonna do a quick card reading. All three of us have had the same card today.
We'll say too that we're going to be working with a site called Alpha Extracts, and they're going to have a variety of different medicines, all of the plant variety, not necessarily psychedelic, although there are some interesting things in there too, but a lot of things that are for healing and whatnot. So you can check it out. I've always wanted to hold things that I know make a difference for people and don't just make money too, because the health food industry also has a lot of trickery and marketing and greed in it as well. And so flushing that out and like saying, okay, this is what I really truly believe this is worth, and it helps 8 people out of 10 in a pretty dramatic way. So there's a good chance it could help you too.
And I was speaking to that fellow that I met last week, having a smoke at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. He was talking about addictions and how the plant medicine has helped so many people, even through like opiates and you name it.
I want to say the plant that I've tried that I keep returning to, and I've only done it. I did once like a fraction of a microdose of it, and then once I did half a dose of it. It's iboga, and iboga is like totally the most organizing, stripping, clearing plant, and that's what is getting people off of some of the worst drug addictions, which are opiates.
Nice. I've never heard of it before.
It's an African root.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so who knows what this card's going to be. I just shuffled and I'm like, I need to shuffle one more. I always put them back in before I grab the top one off. The eagle. Yay! That's not the card I was expecting. We all pulled the high priestess. I didn't bring my glasses, but I'll let Kat read the eagle if you can.
Sure. Spirit, integrity, connection to the angelic realm. When the eagle appears, it is a true signal of your connection to the angelic realm. With the angels' help and guidance, you can soar above life to see the larger vista. The eagle helps you make your choices accordingly with integrity. When you pray to your angels, they will always answer, for they patiently wait for you to call upon them for assistance. The angels reside beside you, hoping to aid humankind in finding peace and manifesting abundance and prosperity. The eagle asks you to remember to soar above life and look at the big picture. Don't get caught up in the tiny, unimportant aspects of life. The spiritual world is the real one. Your physical life is the dream. When the eagle appears, it is also a signal for prayer. It's time for a moment of conscious contact with the divine. Remember that you're always protected and divinely directed if you follow the guidance of spirit as it appears in the form of the eagle.
Hooray! And it's from this up here. Whoops.
Yeah, Wisdom of Avalon.
Yeah, The Wisdom of Avalon by Colette Baron Reed. So thank you very much. But thank you guys for stopping in for another Real Raven show. I adore these two beings on our planet. You know, when you meet somebody, you just meet them and you just know, I know you guys my whole life. That's pretty much how it's been. So, yeah, we can poke each other with sticks in the middle of the night on a tape cassette air mattress and still live to tell the story.
That's right.
Out at the Raven's Nest. So that was amazing. But thank you guys for tuning in. Light and love to everybody. I really, we've got everybody from all over the place, Ireland and you name it. So thank you guys for all tuning in with us today. I love you guys. Send you many blessings. And stay tuned in. Tomorrow's going to be a blast. I might paint tonight because I didn't last night. So whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop.
You guys.
Bye.